Hi. Yeah, I'm back again, whether you like it or not. Yeah, I just wanted to say a few words about some of the fights last night, the most important ones. Well, actually, I had actually recorded a video, a prediction one for this round, but I accidentally deleted it, so I just couldn't be bothered to make another one. So I kind of figured, since there aren't so many big fights, exciting fights this weekend, it's okay. I can just skip that. So anyway, um, first fight. I will say something. Well, I didn't see David Price, but that was okay because that fight ended in an injury. So David Price versus Alexei Kuzmin, I believe. And I also came at the end of the fight between Lawrence Okoli and Matty Askin, but I also saw it was a really ugly fight, a dirty fight. So Okoli won, but on points, and he didn't really impress as far as I can see, as I could hear also. And you know, it's too early, to know if this guy can really be good and a possible contender for a world title in the future, but he hasn't really shown it this time. And then I watched Luke Campbell versus Yvonne Mandy. That was a rather good fight. There wasn't anything, major happening in the fight. There wasn't any knockdowns, or nobody was really hurt. I guess that's okay if you look it from the humane angle, humanist. But Campbell won, definitely. Yeah, he fought a smart fight. I don't know why he lost the first time to Mendy. I didn't see that fight, but he was, I guess, Mendy is a rather tough fighter, to fight. He has a good defense and he's tough, and he throws a lot of punches. He's rather aggressive for a technician, and but Campbell really fought a smart fight. And he was, even though Mandy landed some good punches, but Campbell was better, definitely. I didn't really get why Mandy in the end kind of raised his arms and was so happy. He wasn't close to winning that fight, really. I think he may have won 3 rounds, not more, or something like that. And Carl Froch, I think, was scoring for Sky Sports. He gave him only 2. So yeah, Campbell won. So now, Lomachenko was in the audience. Well, I wouldn't mind seeing, of course, him fight Campbell. Why not? Until a fight against Garcia is made, perhaps, if it can't be made right away. There has been a lot of going back and forth there, so. But of course, Campbell is no match for Lomachenko. but if he doesn't fight Lomachenko, I can see him perhaps winning a world title, a world belt. He has lost to Linares, but it was a close fight in his his only, I think, world title fight that Campbell had. So, enough about that. Now, let's go to the main fight. Anthony Joshua, he beat Alexander Povetkin in the 7th round. A knockout or technical knockout, it doesn't matter. Before that, Povetkin, he really looked good, as they had predicted, even Joshua's people, Eddie Hearn, those guys, that, Povetkin may be a really tough test, a dangerous opponent, but, and he was. He made Joshua, stay on his toes, and he had to fight, really fight to win. And but it was just one punch, that kind of turned the fight around. Before that, I thought that Povetkin was slightly ahead, In the first round, he landed a really good punch. I think it was a left hook that surprised Joshua at the end of the first round. And he really kind of was pulled back, jerked back by that punch. And but ultimately, I guess because of his height, the height disadvantage, Povetkin wasn't able to land that many significant punches. He was landing, but they weren't really hard, shots. He landed a few also in the 5th round, I think it was, So, but then in the 7th, in the 6th, Joshua started to assert himself, and then in the 7th, it was just sudden, like Povetkin was fighting. I think he was moving backwards and a bit, perhaps, and then he just suddenly got hit poof, with a straight right on the side, like this, just straight right, boom, and that punch did all the work, all the damage. And of course Joshua hit him with 2 more, a left hook and a right, and then Povetkin, he fell, and he got up, but you could see he wasn't going to last much longer, and then he was just hit with a short combination. That was it. He wasn't able. He was out on his feet. He did fall eventually the second time, but it was after the referee had stopped the fight. So, it was a rather good performance from Joshua, but he wasn't really so impressive before that knockout. I think perhaps he was pacing himself, and he didn't want to make a mistake and rush in, and get hit, nailed, because he knows, and his men know, that Povetkin can be dangerous as a puncher, and they saw that against David Price. Even though Price has a weaker chin than Joshua, but anyway, when you hit hard, that's all there is to it. So, Povetkin was, I guess, he was in really good shape for his age, that. But this was just a fight that was hard to win for him, so Joshua, he can go on now and fight Wilder, I hope. Unless Fury should beat Wilder, but the odds of that happening are not that big, especially if the fight is in USA. And Fury is not a really heavy or hard puncher. I mean, because you have to be that to knock out Wilder, and he does have a slight height advantage, and but he is so, in his last fight he looked kind of slow and awkward, and just not like he used to look, when he beat Vladimir Klitschko and the other guys before him, Steve Cunningham, for instance. Yeah, so I hope now that in April they got already scheduled a fight for Joshua, April 13th. So let's hope it will be Wilder, and I hope Wilder gets laid out flat, because I don't like this guy. He's so smug, and the way he showboats in the ring, the way he conducts himself is just not worthy of a champion. So even though I'm not as big fan of Joshua as I was until a year ago, something, but I still prefer to see him win it, and I think he will, because he is a better fighter than Wilder. Wilder is all about punching power and his height and all that. He has shown that he can bounce back after getting hurt, like against Ortiz, but Ortiz was already old, and much heavier, slower than Joshua, less, not so athletic and all that. So that should be enough for Joshua to knock the Wilder the fuck out. Let's hope. Yes, well, that was it. See you and bye bye.